CNN's credibility crisis just got a whole lot worse. The liberal network allowing Chris Cuomo on the air last night, despite newly released bombshell text messages showing Chris trying to dig up dirt on the women accusing his brother Andrew Cuomo of sexual harassment. The anchor texting a top aide to the brother about one of the accusers, saying, "I have a lead with this wedding girl." In another text with the same aide, she writes, "Rumor going around from Politico, 1 to 2 more people coming out tomorrow. Can you check your sources?" Cuomo responded, "On it." No one has heard that yet. The messages contradict what Cuomo told viewers back in August.
I'm not an advisor. I'm a brother. I wasn't in control of anything. I was there to listen and offer my take. And my advice to my brother was simple and consistent. Own what you did.
The liberal network says it is reviewing the documents and seeking additional clarity on what Chris did, like they need any more time, Greg. And meanwhile, Chris says he calls the criticism not legitimate and blames media noise.
All right, I'm going to defend Chris Cuomo, but I'm saying this knowing that if a Fox anchor had been doing this, CNN would demand that scalp until he looked like Brian Stelter. You notice that Stelter is not defending him because Stelter thinks he's going to get the 9 o'clock fat chance, literally. My theory is as long as Joy Reid is employed, no one should ever be fired. Cuomo is a pompous, self-involved ass. That's why we love him. You get rid of him, I lose at least 3 to 5 segments a week of fun on my show. I am so pro Cuomo. I'm going out there to protest for him. I want him to keep his job. But watching MSNBC talk about him being fired, that's rich. That's too much. Because Cuomo isn't a racist. Reid is a bona fide, out-of-the-closet bigot who repeatedly uses the word white as a derogatory adjective, which he talks about white tears or white people. It's as though they are inferior. This is 2021, and there's a major network, MSNBC is kind of a major network, where they employ a racist in prime time who literally is derogatory towards an entire race. And she says the words out loud. Cuomo is nothing like that. So until she's gone, I'm on Team Cuomo.
Okay.
That's good.
Dana,
that's a take.
Has she ever responded?
Noted.
She's a racist. Why would she respond?
Terrible.
She hates white people.
Yeah. All right. So, Dana, one of the more insidious revelations I thought that I touched on in the intro is the fact that we now know Chris was leaning on his sources to potentially contribute to witness or accuser intimidation. I mean, this is a really big deal. This is insidious.
So there is lots of things here. One is what he told the audience, right? So you saw that in the clip. He's like, "I'm just being a brother." Now, if he had said that from the beginning, or even said, "I'm going to take a leave of absence. I'm going to try to, I'm going to help my brother. I shouldn't be reporting on this," etc. Fine, that would have been one thing. But he didn't do that. And it's not just MSNBC calling for him to be fired. It's one of the accusers for Andrew Cuomo is saying that he should be fired. Like, to me, that's a little bit more credible, right? And then the Me Too movement is well and truly dead if they don't do something about this. And also, how much does he disrespect the bosses at CNN? And one last thing, what we have are emails and text messages because the Attorney General is doing this. What you don't have is what was said on any phone call. Because that, everybody knows the phone call is where you figure out exactly what you're going to say. You give the advice. I mean, we know that he joined conference calls because of all of that. So I think it's just an incredibly terrible judgment on his part.
He did try unsuccessfully to get rid of even that text evidence by saying, delete this thread to her. And Jesse, to Dana's point about the higher ups at CNN, his former executive producer published an op-ed detailing a physical sexual harassment encounter, which he didn't deny. In fact, he apologized for it in writing. And let me point out, it was the exact same scenario that his brother is being criminally prosecuted for. It's forcible touching on the buttocks. Under his watch, under his policy that Governor Cuomo instated. The irony of this is not lost on anyone, and he sits there night after night on air.
So he's already on thin ice. So if you're Zucker, you have to act like you're going through the motions and pondering the future of Chris Cuomo to look like you're a legitimate news organization. They're a disinformation outlet for the DNC. That's what they really are. So they're pretending, and you got to look at the resume. The guy's the highest rated guy on CNN. You just re-sign him to a deal. He's still getting slaughtered at 9 o'clock by Hannity and by Maddow. So do you have to cut him loose? Is he damaged goods? Is he worth all the trouble that you're getting right now? Or could you kind of weather the storm and instead maybe just suspend him for 2 weeks, take stock afterwards, and then give the guy another shot and hope no one really notices? Is he going to be contrite if you suspend him? It doesn't seem like the kind of guy that would be contrite, so I don't know. But Zucker's in a jam because you're looking at the ratings, CNN. I mean, they got 3 more years of Biden's poison. They're in deep, deep trouble. And so who do you replace Cuomo with at 9? Have you groomed anybody? I mean, do you have a strategy? Doesn't seem like they have a big strategy here.
As long as that person doesn't sexually harass or contribute to witness intimidation, you would think it would be a safe choice. Geraldo, the liberal media is calling for him to be fired as well. Rolling Stone, leading the charge, published an article with a headline that said, Chris Cuomo getting caught for doing something that any other journalist would be fired for. NPR on board, The Independent. The list goes on. He has no one in his corner, it seems, except for Zucker.
Well, I don't believe any of those liberal organizations. I think they're all hysterical all time to time. A couple of things. You know, Chris Cuomo is my protege. I helped him learn the business. He was my host on my talk show as I was trying to transition out to being in the
Look at Emily's face.
He is a friend, so I give you that first. Secondly, as far as I know, there was no allegation, at least from August on, that he used his program in any way to help his brother. So that's the difference between what he does behind the scenes as a private citizen and what he's doing as an anchor using CNN to manipulate what's going on. I think that would have been much, much worse. And thirdly, I hear no one mentioning anymore Letitia James, the Attorney General of New York State, is the most hysterically left-wing public official. She is rabid in her ambition to be governor. She announced her candidacy for governor even as she was trying to get rid of Governor Andrew Cuomo. It is fraught with politics. This whole thing is filthy, and I think that Zucker is right to keep his powder dry. Let's see if indeed Chris used his position to steer CNN. That is the standard.
But you know what? So that when you put it that way, it's kind of enjoyable because it's not like Cuomo is a conservative. That he's been no friend to an independent thinker. He's a lockstep leftist. So watching them devour themselves is actually enjoyable. So if it's Letitia James going after he's not much less. He's as liberal as she is. If you listen to his editorials.
I think Rabid is hyperbolic. I think she's just declared her interest, her candidacy. And remember who signs the
text
paychecks.
messages.
There you go. And the New York taxpayers, thanks to Open the Books, we now know paid almost $5 million in legal fees for the elder brother Cuomo. So you're this. All right, fine, we gotta go.
Wait, the fact that she drops this the same time she announces her candidacy, that's not relevant, the timing?
You called it rabid. I don't think it's rabid. I think, whatever. All right, coming up.
It's not Letitia James' fault that Andrew Cuomo was an ass.
Ooh, watch your mouth, young lady.
Sorry.
I hope somebody covered Percy's ears.
I got it out of her.
yield to that.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.